Okay, here's a diagram of my headlight system before alteration when I did my Wig Wag lights. Here you have a red line, which is my feed for my high beams. The blue line is for the low beams. The black line indicates the ground, both sides here. With the red line comes in, it goes back right out immediately and then jumps across the chassis to the opposite side, to the left-hand side, the passenger side. Same thing with the low beam. It comes in and jumps right back out and goes across underneath the chassis for the low beam on the passenger side. So on the driver's side, I wind up having 5 wires coming out of the back of my light fixture. 2 of them are the actual feed in. The other 2 are actually jumpers that feed the other light on the other side. So that's the way it looks before any alterations are done. Now, with the alterations, you have the same 2 lines coming in, but what I did was at the end of the harness, where it would normally plug right into the back of the light, I decided to add an extension harness to the light. This way I didn't have to cut into any of my factory wires or the harnesses and destroy them. I would only be cutting into my new added extension, thereby not compromising the integrity of the original factory equipment at all. So I could disconnect this and plug in original factory stuff and it'll be like it was never ever there. So where the factory harness ends, I have the extension harness. And the extension harness, if you notice here on the high beam, I wind up cutting it and putting a diode right here. The diode is black towards the front and white towards the back, which indicates electricity can only flow in this direction, but it will not flow back that way. That's the purpose of the diode. I tied in the other wire here, came across to another diode, again black at the front, so the electricity can only flow in this direction, but not back out that way. Okay? So then what happens is, at the original harness goes across like it normally would to this point of the original harness, and then the new tie-in harness extension, which same concept, comes back, splits off, goes into a diode with the electricity allowing it to come this way, and same thing with this diode allowing it to come this way, and then back into the other harness. This line then comes up and goes into a flasher relay. The flasher relay is it can be a Tridon EL13A-1 or -2. I used a CEC 30A, which is just another company that makes an alternating flasher. Usually these alternating flashers can be found at any heavy truck equipment parts store. They're mostly used in school buses and such. So it's back to that unit there. If you follow this line down, this line comes down and goes into the high beam there. So in effect, what you have is then you have the main power line coming out of the flasher unit going up to a switch, which I have inside my cab of my vehicle, and the switch is grounded. The yellow goes to the power source, which I connected into my fuse box. These 2 obviously go to the normal on-off light switch of your vehicle, well, my vehicle basically. So that's pretty much how it was wired together. So when I turn on the switch, I get power down this one, which will turn on that lamp, and power down that one, which will turn on that lamp, wig-wagging them back and forth. The reason for the diodes is because if you do not put the diodes in, what will happen is if you feed power down this line to wig-wag this one, it's automatically going to back wash out this wire and jump across and light that one up at the same time. So you won't have a wig-wag. My first thought was to simply cut this wire, but then you would never be able to use your high beams as they're normally used. You'd be stuck with just one on at a time. And it wouldn't be any good for you, because not only that, but if you wind up, say, trying to wig-wag them, you might still get a backwards bleed effect, which is turning on the other one. So that's pretty much how I did it with the wiring, the diodes. The diodes are important, otherwise the electricity will backfeed and light up the other one, and you won't want that, because then you won't have a wig-wag effect. Alright, there you go.